Hello, everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today, I'll be talking to Emma. Emma is based out in Tanzania. She'll be talking to me about her struggles of living with sickle cell. It's very interesting because back in the days when, earlier on, before sickle cell was anything known internationally, living with sickle cell in Africa was very challenging because many people didn't understand what sickle cell was. Today, there's still a lot of work to be done. Emma's based in Tanzania. She'll be telling me about the issue being faced with people living with sickle cell in Tanzania, how she's overcoming these struggles and pain, and finding her joy. Meet Emma. So,
Oh,
welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. How are you today, Emma?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Everything is going well, and I'm thankful I'm here.
Great.
Yes.
Right. No, Amy, I'm so glad you're fine. And before I get into this whole nitty-gritty of our conversation, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself, living with sickle cell, and who you are?
Okay. My name is Emmy Mwita.
Mhm.
I am 28 years old, and I have a bachelor degree in procurement and supply. The only one in my family with sickle cell.
Oh,
I was discovered 6 months. Yeah, and aside from that, I've worked for various organizations. I worked on the tourism industry as a marketing and advertising officer. And then afterward, I worked as a community organizer for an organization which deals with helping women with small business.
hmm.
And after that, I I work as a I volunteered for the sickle cell patients community of Tanzania uh, in advocacy and educating people about sickle cell disease. Yeah, aside from that, I'm doing a whole lot of things. I won't finish now.
No. Amy, that's amazing. Because you hear sickle cell, and everyone thinks when they have sickle cell, they don't have a future. They think this is it. This is a dead sentence. You were diagnosed at the age of 6 months. Could you just tell me a little bit about sickle cell in Tanzania? How is that perceived in Tanzania?
It is still a new subject.
Mm.
Not most people are aware of sickle cell, and those who are aware of it, maybe they have a family member or they have encountered people with sickle cell, but it's just that people don't know that much. It is now that we are advocating for it that people are aware of it.
Oh, wow. What about kids and newborn babies that are born? Are they being diagnosed at an early stage, or how is that handled right now?
No, we don't have a early screening test. So most are just being born. Like me, I was born until the age of 6 months. That's when my health started to deteriorate, and my parents knew. That's how it happens. You get a kid is 6 months, some are 7, 8, 1 year. A parent doesn't know until the symptoms shows. That's when you know.
Mm. Yeah, no, we're so lucky. I'm based out in the UK, and we're so lucky that kids are being diagnosed early. I mean, that took a while for that to happen because myself, I was born in Nigeria and I wasn't diagnosed early. I think it
Uh,
took a while before they got to understand that I actually have sickle cell HBSS. Um, Living with sickle cell in Tanzania, how are you finding it?
Um, I mean, I feel like now it's not a lonely thing, but back then when I was young and growing up, I used to feel alone, like it's my thing, my own personal private thing. Like no one understands you. Your fellow students will see that you are sick, but then they don't understand. Or at work, you just can't disclose it because the minute you say like I have this chronic illness, you get maybe stigmatized and being seen on a different lens,
Mm.
which is not good. You're seeing like someone who can't perform, can't do anything. It's a challenge. That's all I can say.
I like what you.
So, but now the more I open up to people, the more I feel less that it is less of a burden.
Wow. No, I like what you just said. You feel stigmatized. You feel it could be lonely, um, especially when people will. I don't know if it's the lessons that were taught about sickle cell, that people with sickle cell are this, that, and that stigmatized it, made people worse. In your opinion, do you think it's the lessons that are taught in schools, what our parents have taught us about sickle cell, or do you think it's actually because of the way we handle, we're always sick all the time? Why do you think there's that stigmatization around sickle cell?
In I think it's both what you said. Um, when you don't understand something, when something is new, you tend to see it as a something, yani when you don't understand something. I don't know, English is not my first language, so I don't know how to put it, but when something is new, let's say a person comes into our house, home,
Mm,
he's a stranger, you tend to tread carefully around that person. So I think it's because people don't understand sickle cell first.
mm,
They don't know what it is. And second, their perception of the disease is that it is something that it is a killer disease. Once a person have it, their fate are sealed.
mhm.
Yeah, their fate are sealed. They are born to not succeed. They are born to not live long. They are born to die. And also, you are being viewed as a sick person always. So that's where the stigma come from. First, people don't understand it.
Mm.
Second, they are not aware, and we don't have that awareness or education of sickle cell. That's where the problem comes.
I love what you just said. I love that because that is very clear. When you don't understand something, that is your initial fear. Because I think it's almost like what we're doing now with the coronavirus. There's still not a clear understanding of what is this virus and how can we treat it. And another thing is that it's also invisible. Like sickle cell is an invisible thing. So when you can't see something, you don't know how to estimate the damage it is really truly doing to one. With sickle cell, our damage are always internally. I remember my doctor telling me one time that they did an autopsy on a sickle cell patient, and what they saw, the damages they saw inside the body, he's never seen that in an autopsy. And I really, I took it back because when we're in pain, how painful that could be, and managing the damages it's doing to that part of the body. So I really
Yes.
understood when things are not seen, people don't have an understanding for it. Yeah. So how have you been able to deal with all this pain of sickle cell, from the emotional pain, from the mental pain, from the physical pain of, being in hospital, to dealing with pain, of school and getting jobs? Because you just said at the beginning when I asked you who you are, Emmy, you said, I am this, I'm a procurement officer. I'm like, wow, this is a sickle cell lady working very hard. So how have you been able to deal with all this pain along the
Uh,
way? Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. First, I can break it down to you, like my history of this disease and how I went about it.
Mm,
From the young age, I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't. I couldn't comprehend why was I sick. Why I can't play with other kids? Why can't I be normal and live a full year without having a crisis or being in pain? Why are there so many limitations to what I can do?
mm,
I could not understand. Then I came to the awareness that how I have sickle cell. I was told by the doctor when I was maybe 10 years, 11. My parents saw that, okay, it is time she knows. So afterward, I went to school. As I said, I went to all government schools, boarding schools. So it was not easy. I had a doctor report with my picture stamped on it. I went and I had to submit to the administration that I am a special needs child. And there were other special need kids in the school. the one with other kind of disease which we are familiar with. Maybe they're diabetic, maybe they're epileptic, and many with disability, but I was the only one with sickle cell. So I felt like I was living in my own world, and I felt like this is so unfair to me. I would tell teachers like, I can't do these duties. I can't, because I went to boarding school, sometimes we need to chop firewood. So I would be like, I can't do this. And the teacher would be like, what's your problem? I would say sickle cell, and they would say, what is that? So I had to be creative about it. Sometimes I would evade and look like a delinquent kid. And it was difficult. So as I went to university, I faced all new battle. No one was limiting me. Like there were no teachers who would punish me, would give me duties. There would be no kids who will call me names. Yeah, there was this another level of stigma, like people saying like, okay, she's the kind of girl you can't date because she's sick every day. I would be not included in sports and all those kind of things. So I knew it was not a direct stigma toward me, but I just had this feeling that I was not being seen as normal as other youngsters. And also, I created a shield around me. I became oblivious to that kind of emotional pain. Yeah, that's how I survived. But when it comes to crisis, like when I'm in pain, I, from a very young age, I was lucky to attend clinics. I had this amazing doctor who really educated me, and my family played a very big role in my growing up. So I knew that I'm supposed to take maybe supplements daily, folic, and other multivitamins and probiotics and all those stuffs. So when I get sick, I just knew I had to go direct to the hospital and maybe being administered to first aid and all those kind of stuffs. I knew. I really understood my body and the triggers that come with it. When the crisis is rising up, I just knew that the next minute, if I don't take precautions, I'm going to be bedridden. So I understood my body first. I took care of myself. I knew no skipping meals. I was a very difficult child. Sometimes I would just want to skip meals. Then my mom would be like, you'll be sick, just eat. So I think my family played that good role of helping me growing up to who I am today. And also as an individual and an adult, I became responsible for my own health.
Yeah, I think what you said, Amy, is very, very true. There's extreme ends of the battle here with sickle cell disorder. Is that there's one end where people are feeling so sorry for you, and that also over sympathy can also lead to your internal disability, because you want them to feel sorry for you. That's correct, but at the same time, you don't want them to do it in such a way that people now opportunities, especially when you get older, opportunities start running away from you. You can't get a job, you can't get a husband, you can't get, even the doctors will play a role by saying you shouldn't even have kids.
Yes.
So that you're fighting that. At the same time, you don't want people to be overly uncompassionate, because that also
Yes.
then gives you that fear that, oh my goodness, how do I deal with this? Oh my goodness, they will tell me off. And so it's always
Yes.
that balance. And I think what you just said is you had to play that role for yourself. You had to be
Yes.
that person, vocal with your family, vocal that yourself. Our second and final question is really about Tanzania and sickle cell. And what are your hopes for that? The country they're seeing more and more people born with sickle cell each year. So what are your hopes
Yes.
for born with sickle cell, and how is the country dealing with this situation?
My hopes are that first, the most important thing is that people need education on this, and so that we be aware, because the education that is given is very little. uh, Even the government doesn't invest that much on it. So after education, I would pray for good health facilities, services. They need to be improved, because I've lived far away from my family, my home. I've worked far, traveled. Once you are in the outskirts, out far from town, cities, there are no facilities, there are no hospitals that can give you that treatment you need. And also the hospitals that you may find, there are health workers that don't understand what sickle cell is. They know it just by name, but they don't really have that deep knowledge of what sickle cell is and how to care for a patient and give first aid to that patient. So it's a very huge challenge. You may go to a hospital. I've had patients complain, they have crisis, they go to hospital and they need immediate care, but they are being put in line. The doctors, when you come, I've had that. I was in school, I went to a hospital, and the nurses there were so angry with me. They're like, you are just spoiled, you need to calm down, everyone here needs service, everyone is sick, you are not the only one. So we need education to people, to health workers, and we need professionals who can really care for patients. And we need those clinics everywhere, not just in one hospital. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Wow. Wow, Amy, this is amazing. So, what is the next step for Amy? You've really tried to overcome sickle cell by being positive. What is the next step for you?
Sorry, can you
Yeah, no, I said,
repeat?
what is the next step for Amy? You've really overcome sickle cell by really being positive. So, what should we expect from Amy next going forward?
Um, I think the next step is for me to to propel forward, like to develop what I have started, because I thank God that I've written a book on sickle cell. It's just a story which explain about patients and the struggles they go through on daily basis, and all the psychological emotions, battles we fight. So I'm thankful that the book is well received and it has helped educate people, both sickle cell community and the non-sickle cell community. And I'm just hoping that there will be more of that, that I am not going to end here and that's it. Because at first I wanted to give up. I lost a very good friend of mine to sickle cell and I went into depression. I was like, this is it. But then I was like, these voices need to live. People need to know there were these great people who lived before and they fought battles about this. So hence came the book.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So I am just praying to take this further, not just online, but even on the offline community. That's my hope.
Thank you so much, Amy. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I wish you a lovely day in Tanzania, whatever you're doing. Whereabouts in Tanzania are you?
Arusha.
Arusha, yes. Oh, lovely place.
Yes,
Yeah,
Arusha.
really, really lovely.
Yes,
Uh,
very lovely.
it's nice, and anyone who hasn't visited, I would encourage them to come out to Tanzania because it's beautiful.
Okay, you are very
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.